Yes, please. Oh, that's where it went. Hare Krishna, Prabhus. Another blissful day in the Lord's service. I have a Bhagavatam verse, although it's a Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's a verse from Bhagavatam. Thank you. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayam Vishupad Paramahamsa Paribrajagacharya Sto Tadastasi Shimad Isi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishupad Paramahamsa Paribrajagacharya Sto Tadastasi Shimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananakoti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Oh. My book. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamang Deving Saraswating Vyasam Tojayam Mutirayat. Krishne Sodamo Pagate Dharma Jnanadi Bisaha Klonastadisham Mesha Paranarko Duno Ditaha. Hare Krishna. I just wanted to mention that the deities look gorgeous like they always do, but I want you to pay attention to those flowers. My wife spends a lot of time searching Gainesville and everywhere. She drives all over trying to find flowers. I always tell her, just use the flowers that you got. Krishna provides, but she doesn't. She goes all out. And then when you see it, you're like, okay, I see why you did that. I mean, they got flowers on their ankle bells. They got flowers all over the place. Really nice. And also, she came to me a few minutes ago and said, are you going to tell us about Lord Ramachandra? And I said, well, no, I hadn't thought of that. But I do this mantra every morning in my Nishringa prayer, so I'm going to read this. It's short. It's Ramachandra's Nishringa Panchamrita. These three prayers are from the 47th chapter of the Harivamsa Purana. Narrates the story of Lord Ramachandra's visit to the holy place of Ahobilam. He came to see Nrsingadev, where Lord Nrsinga appeared and saved his devotee Prahlad. The glorious Ram once visited Ahobila. He saw the deity of Lord Nrsingadev. He offered obeisances to Lord Kamalapati, the husband of the goddess of fortune, and he prayed as follows. O Govinda, O Keshava, Janardana, Vasudeva, Vishva, Madhusudana, Vishvarupa, Sri Padmanabha, Purushottama, Pushkarakshara, Narayana, Achyuta, O Lord Nrsingadev, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you again and again. I mean, this is him offering obeisances to him. I have taken shelter of Lord Nrsinga, under whose lotus feet demigods, prominent yogis, Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, and Kinnaras are constantly offering their obeisances. I have taken shelter of Lord Nrsinga, by whose mercy people receive all the Vedas, the essence of all scriptures, knowledge, strength, reputation, and wealth. You are Lord Brahma, you are Lord Shiva, you are the best person, Lord Narayan. You are the master of the Maruts, and you are the sun, the moon, air, fire, as well as the Marut Ganas. I offer my obeisances to you. I offer my obeisances unto Lord Nrsinga, who is the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of the entire universe. Although you perform all these three acts simultaneously, you are completely beyond these activities. You are the all-pervading, unlimited Supreme Spirit. Praying in this way, the best of the Raghus, Lord Ramachandra, worshipped Lord Hari, and at that time all the demigods showered a rain of flowers on the head of Lord Nrsingadev and Ram. This is the best of all prayers, called the Panchamrita, or the 5 nectars, compiled by Lord Ram himself. One who reads this will be liberated eternally. Woohoo! So I read that every day. You never know. I'm not giving up. And also I want to read this Prabhupada disclaimer. Because lately, because there's so much, I mean, there's always so much, it's Kali Yuga, there's so many distractions and so much negative stuff. And most of my friends and associates are talking about, horrible things like politics. Prabhupada says here, instead of contemplating what will happen to this world, you've got a short duration of life, say 50, 60 years. Chant Hare Krishna, go back home, back to Godhead. Don't consider what will happen in this world. The nature will take care of it. You don't puzzle your brain with these thoughts. You utilize whatever time you have in your possession, and you go back home, back to Godhead. You cannot check it, because people will go on with their rascal civilization, and the natural consequences will be there. You better take advantage of whatever time you have left and become fully Krishna conscious and go back home. Anyway, remember that when you're being bombarded by all the news and all the garbage that's going on out there. And this verse, this is called the process of devotional service, this chapter. This is Lord Chaitanya speaking, right? Anyway, verse 110. Tasmad bharata sarvatma Bhagavan Hari Ishvaraha. Thank you. Shrotavya kirtitavyascha smartavyaschaitata bhayam tasmad bharata sarvatma Bhagavan Haririshvaraha Shrotavya kirtitavyascha smartavyaschaitata bhayam Tasmat bharata Bhagavan Hari Ishvara Shrotavya kirtitavyascha Smartavyaschaitatabayam Tasmat bharata sarvatma Bhagavan Hari Ishvara Shrotavya kirtitavyascha Smartavyaschaitatabayam Tasmat bharata sarvatma Bhagavan Hari Ishvara Shrotavya kirtitavyascha Smartavyaschaitatabayam Tasmad bharata sarvatma Bhagavan Hari Ishvara Shrotavya kirtitavyascha Smartavyaschaitatabayam Tasmad bharata sarvatma Bhagavan Hari Ishvara Shrotavya kirtitavyascha Smartavyaschaitatabayam Tasmad, therefore, Bharata, O descendant of Bharata, Sarvatma, the all-pervasive Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart. Bhagavan, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hari, Lord Hari, who takes away all miserable conditions of material existence. Thank you. Ishvaraha, the Supreme Controller. Shrotavya, to be heard about from bona fide sources. Kirtitavya, to be glorified as one has heard. Cha, also. Smartavya, to be remembered. Cha, and. Ichchata, by person desiring. Abhayam, freedom from the fearful condition of material existence. This verse reminds me of that verse in Divinity and Divine Service. Shrotavya kirtitavyascha. It's a little different. Same message. Translation. O descendant of Bharata, O Maharaj Parikshit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is situated in everyone's heart is Paramatma, who is the Supreme Controller and who always removes the miseries of living entities, must always be heard about from reliable sources, and he must be glorified and remembered by one who wishes to become fearless. Prabhupada's purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 2.1.5. It's one's duty to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the hearing process. This is called Shrotavya. If one has heard properly about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his duty is to glorify the Lord and preach his glories. This is called Kirtitavya. When one hears about the Lord and glorifies him, it's natural to think of him. This is called Smartavya. All this must be carried out if one actually wants to be immune from fear. A couple of verses before this, spiritual activities of hearing, chanting, remembering, and so forth are the natural characteristics of devotional service. Pure love for Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of the living entities. And there are two processes of practical devotional service. One is regulated devotional service, and the other is spontaneous. Those who have not attained the platform of spontaneous attachment in devotional service render service under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master. This kind of devotional service is called Vaidhi Bhakti. I thought we'd go ahead and read this purport from the Bhagavatam. It's a little longer. That's a short purport. The translation is a little bit different too. O descendant of King Bharata, one who desires to be free from all miseries must hear about, glorify, and remember the personality of Godhead, who is the supersoul, the controller, and the savior from all miseries. I'm liking this theme. The savior from all miseries. Nobody likes miseries. Anybody here like miseries? I don't. In this life, I've always tried to become comfortable, which is an exercise in futility. But still, because the nature of the soul is to be happy, I'm always trying to make myself comfortable. And it's as you get older, it's even harder. But when you hear stuff like this, Krishna's on our side. Krishna's in our heart. Unfortunately, in there also, there's all kinds of stuff like 6 enemies. And anybody know the 6 enemies? Kama, Krodha. Exactly. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. These things are in us. These are our enemies, and they're right in. Where are they? Oh, they're in your heart. It's like you got an enemy, because lust turns into wrath, which is what? The all-devouring, sinful enemy of the world. So you have this enemy who's the all-devouring, sinful enemy of the world, and where is he? He's in your heart. So we have to chaito, darpana, margin. We got to get it out of there, because there's no way you're going to do it on your own. We're in this. Prabhupada said you're under the clutches of Maya, or you're under Krishna's shelter. And I know for myself, I'm usually under the clutches of Maya. But by reading this, we'll all get purified. I mean, I know you guys are all purified, but I'm speaking for myself. Purport. In the previous verse, Shukadeva Goswami has described how foolish material-attached men waste their valuable time in improvement of the material conditions by eating, sleeping, and indulging in sex, developing economic conditions, maintaining a band of relatives who are all to be vanquished in the air of oblivion. What a sentence. I'm going to read that again. They waste their valuable time. What are they doing? They're developing economic conditions, maintaining a band of relatives who are all going to be vanquished in the air of oblivion. Where'd your mom go? Oh, the air of oblivion. No one's seen her. Where is she? In the air of oblivion. I don't want to go to that place. Being engaged in all kinds of materialistic activities, the soul entangles himself in the cycle of the law of fruit of actions. Now, this entails a chain of birth and death in 8,400,000 species of life: aquatics, vegetables, reptiles, birds, beasts, uncivilized men, and then again the human form, which is the chance for getting out of the cycle of fruit of action. Now, this is the huge point, is that once you've blown it and you become an animal, you don't have the same facility that you do as a human. And the human body is meant for this. In fact, if you didn't get the human body, you pretty much have to have somebody throw you some prasadam or chant Hare Krishna in your ear. Like this one devotee used to say Hari Hari Bol to animals, dogs, horses, whatever animal. And this friend that was with her wasn't a devotee, but one day she went up and said Hari Bol to a cow. And the person with me said, "What is that?" And she said, "Oh, it's a spiritual thing you say to animals." So I thought that was nice, because the whole idea is that once you get this, once you get Krishna consciousness, you've been wandering around the universe for eons, and somehow or other, by some unimaginable good fortune, you run into the devotees and you get the mercy. All of a sudden, the light's on, and then you have it. Now, it's on you to share that with all the other lost souls. These are Krishna's kids out here. They're lost. And I see them every day when I go out on Sankirtan. These people are lost. They don't know what to do. They're just going along in the modes of nature, suffering, waiting for their band of relatives to go to oblivion. Now, Bhagavad Gita also is instruction there on 927. That's yat karosi, yadasnasi, right? Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, give away. Instruction is given for working on the Lord's account. Therefore, one should first of all hear about the Lord. When one has perfectly scrutinizingly heard, then one must glorify. So you have to hear, and then what do you do with all that? Well, then you have to share it. You have to kirtan it. And if you pay attention, I know if I don't pay attention, then it's really hard when I go out there and try to preach. But when I pay attention, I chant japa and I read. I mean, you can say whatever you want about Divyanga, but I do read these books and I sell these books. And when I go out there and people ask questions about them, I know about this because I read it. And I find that if I take shelter in Prabhupada's books, my life is a lot easier. And no matter what happens, because in this life, there's so many things going wrong. By the mercy of the Lord, there's kleshas at every step to remind us that this isn't our home. Like your daughter's car might die, or your cat might die, or your dryer might die. And you're like, what's going on here? Why me? And Vaishali says, don't say why me, say, what's the lesson? Sounds like a country song, doesn't it? I lost my cat, I lost my dryer, and my car blew up. The problem is that we like this place so much that even we're in a prison and the prison door is open and we don't leave. That's the craziest part about this. Because of ahankar, false ego, we think we're our bodies and we think that stuff here might be something I want. Idiots. Hearing about the Lord and glorifying the Lord are identical with transcendental nature of the Lord. By doing so, one will always be in association with the Lord. This brings freedom from all sorts of fear. The Lord is Supersoul, Paramatma, present in the heart of every living being. And thus, by hearing and glorifying, the Lord invites the association of all creation. This process of hearing about the Lord is applicable for everyone, whoever he may be, and it will lead one ultimate success in everything which one may be engaged in by providence. There are many classes of human beings: fruitive workers, empiric philosophers, mystic yogis, and ultimately unalloyed devotees. For all of them, one and the same process is applicable for achieving the desired success. Everyone wants to be free from fear. Everyone wants to be happy to the fullest extent. The perfect process for achieving this here and now is recommended in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is uttered by such a great authority as Sri Sukadeva Goswami. By hearing about and glorifying the Lord, all a person's activities become molded into spiritual activities, and thus all conceptions of material miseries become completely vanquished. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-anjana Salakaya Chaksur-niratam Yena Tasmai Sri Grave Namaha Namasheshtam Manamopi Sachiputram Atra Sarupam Rupam Tasya Girajam Urupuring Amaturing Gostavating Radhakundam Girivaramaho Radhikamadavashang Prapato Jasya Pratiti Kripaya Sri Gurung Tanganatosmi Panchakalpatvyascha Kipasindo Bebacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhi Namo Namaha. Jai. So what do? We're in this body. We're spirit souls. We've met Prabhupada. Prabhupada's spoon feeding us Krishna consciousness. And don't forget, this is the golden Kali Yuga. You got to wait another 999 Kali Yugas to get the Prem Yuga, when Bhagavan Sri Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan, comes down as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and what does he do? He gives Prem away, gives it. Other ages, there's Gaur Narayan, and maybe you can get liberated to Vaikuntha if you're good. But in this age, all you have to do is be nice. Don't be offensive. If you can, I'm reading the Chaitanya Bhagavat now, and it's some of those purports, Bhakti Siddhanta, are so heavy on offenses. And he says that offending just any living entity is sinful, and you have to go to hell for offending living entities. What to speak of devotees. So we have to be very, very careful not to offend devotees. The only thing that can stop our progress in Krishna consciousness is aparad. Prabhupada said anyone can become Krishna conscious, but they have to want to. You have to want it more than anything else. So we're in this body. We got the kleshas. They're always reminding us. I mean, you got adhyatmik, adhibautic, adhidaivik. You can't escape these things. And we're all living with our mind. And our minds are always trying to figure out something to do besides devotional service. And I've been trying this for over 50 years, and my mind is still my enemy. Bhagavatam says that the mind is not under the sway of anyone else. It's the stronger than the strongest, and his God-like wrath tortures your heart. So that's your mind, okay? You have a mind who's torturing your heart. In your heart, you got the 6 enemies, and you're under the clutches of material nature, and you're being kicked by the threefold miseries. And people think, no, it's okay, I got this. I got a career, I got money, I got whatever they think is going to make them happy. And I meet people every day on Sankirtan that have plenty of money. This one old lady opened her wallet and she had $100 bills in there. Old people still use cash. And I pulled out some money. I said, I can give you change for that. And she pulled out the 100 and she said, I'm 95 years old. Money's not my problem. And she gave me that $100 bill for a cookbook, which everyone should. That should be the price of a higher taste, $100. But it was so true. I mean, that really, she was right. She's going to die tomorrow. And what's this paper going to do? But anyway, there is hope. It's the golden age. Chant Hare Krishna. Don't be offensive. Try to do some kind of service. There's millions of different things you can do for Prabhupada and Krishna. And Krishna is always calling us. Prabhupada said if you take a step toward him, he'll take 10 steps toward you. I'm going to read a little. This is Adi Leela. This is one of my favorite parts. Because it talks about the mercy of Gaur Nitai. And we've all heard this, but it's good to hear again. Because he's talking about how it's offensive for fallen people like me to chant the Mahamantra. And what are you going to do? Your spiritual master told you to chant 16 rounds a day. So Prabhupada gave us this. The holy name of Krishna is so powerful that by chanting even one name, Krishna, one very easily achieves transcendental riches. If one chants the exalted holy name of the Lord again and again, and yet his love for the Supreme Lord does not develop and tears do not appear in his eyes, it is evident that it's because of his offenses in chanting. The seed of the holy name will not sprout. Okay, now that's kind of depressing because I know I'm dirty and I'm offensive and I'm fallen, but I'm still chanting. But this is where it gets good. Chaitanya Nityanande Nahi Asava Vichar Nama Laite Prema Dena Bahe Ashudhar. But if one only chants with some slight faith the holy names of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, then very quickly he is cleansed of all offenses. Thus, as soon as he chants Hare Krishna, he feels the ecstasy of love of God. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur remarks, if one takes shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda and follows their instructions to become more tolerant than a tree, humbler than grass, in this way chants Hare Krishna, very soon he achieves the platform of transcendental loving service to the Lord. Tears will appear in his eyes. That's never happened to me, but there are offenses to be considered in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But there are no offenses in chanting Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga. Therefore, if one chants Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but his life is still full of sinful activities, it will be very difficult for him to achieve the platform of loving service. But if in spite of being an offender, one chants the holy names, Gaura Nityananda, then he very quickly is freed from the interactions of his offenses. Therefore, one should first always approach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, worship Guru, Gauranga, and Panchatattva, and then come to the stage of Radha Krishna. For an ordinary man, worshiping Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda and the Panchatattva is easier than worshiping Radha Krishna. My Istadev is Panchatattva. I've had that deity for years and years and years, and that's my worship, Prabhupada and Panchatattva. Unless one is very, very fortunate, he should not even be introduced to Radha Krishna directly. A neophyte student who is not sufficiently educated or enlightened should not indulge in the worship of Sri Sri Radha Krishna or even chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Woo! Even if he does so, he can't get the desired result. This is the best part right here. One should therefore chant the names Nitai Gaura and worship them without false prestige. Since everyone in this material world is more or less influenced by sinful activity, in the beginning it is essential one take to the worship of Guru Gauranga and ask their favor. For this, despite all his disqualifications, one will very soon become qualified to worship Radha Krishna. Woohoo! That's the good news, isn't it? Now it should be noted in this connection, the names of Krishna and Gaurasunda are identical. Therefore, one should not consider one name to be more potent than the other. Considering the position of the people in this age of Kali, however, the chanting of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's name is more essential than the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Therefore, one must always take shelter of Sri Krishna Chaitanya by chanting Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Syadeto Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. By serving Gaur Nityananda, one is freed from all the entanglements of the material existence and thus becomes qualified to worship Radha Krishna. Hearing this will annihilate all misfortune. I like that. So we're trying to get away from misfortune, fear, and pain. And what are we going to do? Now that we've got this, Prabhupada's been so kind, he gave it to us, and then he told us, now go out and share it. To simplify it, Vaishnavi says, chant Hare Krishna and share it with others. That's it. And here's what they say about that. Not considering who asked for it and who did not, nor who was fit or unfit to receive it, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda distributed the fruit of devotional service. This is the sum and substance of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. There is no distinction made between those who are fit and those who are not fit to hear or take part in the Sankirtan movement. It should therefore be preached without any discrimination. The only purpose of the preachers of the Sankirtan movement must be to go on preaching without any restriction. That is the way in which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the Sankirtan movement to the world. Any questions? I mean, that's good enough for me. When Prabhupada, and when the Lord comes and says, here's prema, we're giving it out for free. All you got to, I mean, they gave it to Jagai and Madai. That day he was going to kill him, he just, chakra, with no questions asked, he was going to cut off his head. And Nityananda went to him and said, hey, Jagai stopped him from hitting me the second time. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, oh, Jagai, and he embraced Jagai. Jagai fell on the ground and went into Astika Bhav. That's how easy it was. Just don't be a demon. Basically, if you can just not be a demon, don't be offensive, be nice, and try to do some service. And if you can, tell somebody about it. And if you have trouble telling people about it, get a bunch of books. And then when you see some other living entity who's one of Krishna's lost child, here, child, and you just give it to him. It doesn't matter. You don't discriminate. Does he deserve it? Is he qualified? No, who cares? Here. That's what I do on Sankirtan. I give somebody a lollipop and say, here, eat this. And 9 out of 10 people just put it in their mouth right away. And if you eat prasadam, you don't have to take birth in the lower species. I have a quote from this. This is good. And another funny thing that happened, this is, because I go out here, I've been doing this forever, and I go out there and you never know what's going to happen. And I saw this old rattle-trap van, it looked like a 30-year-old van. The guy's car was older than mine, which is pretty rare. And so I go up to him to give him a book, and he just starts screaming, how demons can be. Oh, get out of here, I don't want this. And I said, well, here, at least have a, he wouldn't even want to take the lollipop. Anyway, so I go on and I'm distributing books in that place. About a half hour later, out of the corner of my eye, I see the rattle-trap van, and it's coming at me like a missile. And luckily, I ran out of the way. The guy tried to run me over. And I was like, whoa. But that, to me, if I could die on Sankirtan, I don't have a problem with that. Hand somebody a book, somebody runs you over with a van, It's better than dwindling and getting old and diseased, because I'm not that scared of death. Because, you get hit by a van and, you're on to your next whatever you deserve. But, you forget about all this stuff here that's bothering you, and you have a whole new set of stuff to bother you. But the whole thing of old age and disease and pain and suffering, it's like the poet said, my friends are gone, my hair is gray, I ache in the places where I used to play. And that's true, because I'm used to doing things in my life, and I can't do some of them anymore just because my body won't allow it. And that takes all the fun out of this thing. We came to the mature world, we're going to try to enjoy, and be the controller and the enjoyer. And then we get here and we're just getting kicked around. Prabhupada said, you'll be kicked around like a football. Prabhupada said, wherever the football goes on the field, you'll be kicked. People come running to you to kick you. That's us. We're out there going, I'm enjoying it. I'm going to the football game. Let's have a beer. And then you get kicked in the face by Maya. It's just what happens. It's a problem. Prabhupada said here, this is a quote from Bhagavatam, 7th canto. Chanting Hare Krishna mantra and distributing prasad is the most perfect bona fide way of offering sacrifice for the pleasure of Yajna Vishnu. So I kind of like that. Because every day I distribute about 2,000 to 3,000 lollipops every month with the books. And many, many, many people that don't want a book will eat the prasadam. So I like that. And this is one of my prayers that I say out there. I'm out there, because sometimes you go out in Sankirtan and, you feel like you're with Prabhupada and Lord Nityananda and people are being nice and they're buying books and everything seems normal. Other times you go out there and you're doing the same thing you've been doing. You got the same books. You've been saying the same thing for 50 years. And it's like I'm invisible. They don't even see me. Or worse, they get upadruti on you, because they're all manda sumanda mate. We're all manda sumanda mateyo. We're slow, we're unfortunate, and usually we're upadruti, or agitated, always disturbed. So I'm out there going, Krishna, come on, Nityananda, help. I'm like, pahi, I'm so... Devotee wrote Prabhupada a letter and was telling him about all his troubles. This is back in the old days when you could do that. And Prabhupada said, we have to be very careful because the age is very bad, this Kali Yuga. What you're experiencing, you simply have to take shelter of Krishna and always cry. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, Krishna, pahimam. Just like as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us. The time is very dangerous. Still, in this dangerous time, just like an epidemic condition where everyone is being contaminated and dying, still, the doctors appointed by the government have to go to the epidemic area and try to treat the person and save them. Our duty is like that. This whole atmosphere is epidemic. The whole atmosphere of Kali Yuga is epidemic. So we have this Kali Yuga epidemic, and you do see it out there. It's getting worse. It was always bad, but it's worse now. So if we take shelter in hearing and chanting, it's always, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. Shravanadi Jal means to the water of Shravanam, to water our Bhakti Lata beach. If we pay attention when we're hearing and chanting, we'll get fortified by Krishna knowledge. And Prabhupada said you'll become Krishnaized. And if you take shelter like that, then when you go out or whatever you're doing, even if you're not going out and trying to preach, you get mercy just because you're remembering Krishna and you're not suffering. Superfluous to him, right? Bhagavatam says that these pains and suffering are superfluous to the Atma, the Jiva. And the Jiva is sitting there waiting to be fed. Because we feed the body and the mind and everything, the senses are always getting all their stuff, but the Atma's like, hey, what about me? And the only thing that'll satisfy the Jiva is hearing and chanting. So that's why Prabhupada made this schedule for us. He wants us to chant our rounds for 2 hours in the morning. He wants us to attend Bhagavatam class, of course, Mangal Artik, Tulsi Puja. It's amazing how many things I can do in the morning. If I go to Mangal and Tulsi Puja, and then I go to Japa, and then I read and do my slokas and my chapter of Gita, and then I do my mantras, and then I go to Guru Puja in class, and then I walk out the door. And depending on what I see when I walk out there, sometimes I forget the whole first 6 hours of my day. So that's why we have to do this every day. And I'd like to say that it gets easier, but I'm not I haven't applied myself enough that I can actually say that. Because to me, it's still, sometimes I wake up just like the day I joined this. Because when I joined the movement, the devotees said, here, sit down and chant Hare Krishna. I remember we got up in the morning and went up to the temple in Detroit. And Radha Kunja Bihari were there, but I didn't have my glasses. I was a hippie, and I thought, these glasses, these are useless. So I threw them away. Idiot. And so when I went up in front of the altar, first there were Panchatattva, and then full-size marble deities, Radha Kunja Bihari. And I'm looking, and I see flowers, I see colors. I'm like, wow, amazing, how mystic. But I couldn't see any form. But when I got to the third altar, they had huge Jagannath. And Jagannath is so kind. I went, whoa, I could see the eyes. I was like, oh, now I see him. So I called my dad, and I said, send me some glasses, So my dad got me some glasses. And 2 days later, I went in front of the deities, and I was so surprised. There was Radha Kunja Bihari there. I didn't even see him. Anyway, so then that's a guy that got to come to the temple. You know what I mean? I was there. I was lucky. I was eating Mahaprasadam in association with devotees, and they were, trying to help me. So I feel like that when I go on Sankirtan and I see lost souls. Everybody out there, they are really unhappy. They're more unhappy now than I've ever seen them. Even the MAGAs are unhappy because they don't understand how Tesla's running the place. They didn't vote for him. And people talk about it. Everybody I meet, they're all talking, they got their hats, their stickers. It's all, politics is a horrible thing. The word politics, it means to polarize. So everybody's, that's your team, this is my team, everybody's angry. They wake up angry. And they're driving around out there angry. So I walk up and I go, we're giving out the Smile Pops. Sounds crazy, but people all go, oh, I need that. I go, no kidding. Because inside the soul, he wants to be happy. Ananda, Mayo, Vyasadi. He doesn't want to be a miserable idiot, because that's all they are. I see them coming out of the store with crazy, horrible stuff they're eating and drinking and whatever they're doing. And I just walk right up to them and I give them the prasadam. I just have full faith that this is their only hope. I think, what if that was me, with a basket full of meat and wine and stuff, and then somebody comes up and goes, here. So the other day, this guy was huge. He had dreadlocks down to his knees. He was about 6'5". And I saw him and I thought, oh, what the hell, right? I got nothing to lose. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to give him one. So I said, excuse me. I gave him the lollipop and he goes, well, thank you very much. And then I handed him a chant and be happy. And he goes, I have this book. I've had this book for 30 years. I never would have guessed. And he was so nice. He was so happy. So I whipped out a Bhagavatam and a Gita, and then his friend came over and he got some books. And they were so happy. But the guy told me, he said, I go to the Sunday feasts. He travels around like a vagabond. He had this live-in camper thing. And he said, I always go to eat on Sundays. So the guy likes prasadam. He goes, but I got to tell you, we have to get more into cow protection. That's what he said. Who says that? If nobody would say that unless you read one of Prabhupada's books. And that just blew my mind because I was not even going to approach the guy. I just thought, oh. Anyway, that's Sankirtan. Sankirtan means that you go out. It's a yajna. It's a sacrifice. The worst part for me is I got to drive about 200 miles a day because everywhere I go to the Sankirtan, they come out and say, excuse me, sir, you can't do this here. And I go, oh, okay. And so you'd have to move around a lot. So I'm always driving around trying to distribute books, and Krishna's very kind. I distribute a lot of books, and I just feel like that's the least I can do, Srila Prabhupada, because he saved my wretched soul. And one of these days, I'm going to be a good devotee. And I pray for that every day, and I really want to go back to Godhead. I don't want to stay here and suffer. But there's so many things going on in my mind. Driving down the road, it's hard to concentrate. So I always listen to Prabhupada. Yesterday I was listening to Prabhupada. On this box, there's so many things on there that I haven't heard. I just let it keep going. And this was an initiation in Boston in '68. And at that time, after the initiation, the devotees were sitting there, and Vaikuntha says, Swamiji, how do I spell my new spiritual name? And Prabhupada says, V-A-I, and he spells it out for him. And then you hear a woman go, and what's my name? How do you spell my name? And Prabhupada says, Madhavi Lata, I think it was. Madhavi. I mean, can you imagine that? You get initiated, and then you're just hanging out with Prabhupada, just casually talking, and then Prabhupada goes, anybody want a banana? So they're eating the banana. I just thought, wow, I missed that. That was 4 years before I joined. And I just thought that was so funny. But the story he was telling, he was talking about how every woman must be married. And he said that when he was in his household days, one of his friends came to him and said, please help me. My daughter's in college, and she doesn't want to get married. And Prabhupada said, oh, nonsense, let me talk to her. So Prabhupada went and talked to her and said, so why don't you want to get married? And she said, I don't want to be a slave to a man. And Prabhupada said, actually, it's not slavery, it's grand protection. He used the word grand. It's grand protection. We protect our women. And Prabhupada said that in Bengal, it's so important to get the daughter married that if there's something wrong with the daughter, if there's some disease or there's some reason no one will marry her, then you can marry her to a banana tree. Anybody ever heard this? Now, I had never heard this. I rewound it about 17 times. I'm like, what? So then I got the transcript from Prabhupada Vani, and that's what he said. And he never said anything, any details. He just said, if you can't find a husband, then you marry her to the nearest banana tree. And he said, and then you have a certificate. She's married. I mean, that's crazy. But I loved it. I thought, I never heard that. I was like, wow. Every time I turn on that machine, I hear something I've never heard. And I was like, okay, honey, there's your husband over there, the banana tree. There won't be any fighting, no divorce. I mean, you know. I should have thought of that. But I just wanted to say that Krishna consciousness is a blissful thing. We don't always taste it, and we don't always see it. We don't always know why Krishna does things the way he does, but it is. And we have to have faith that he loves us and that he's our well-wisher. Krishna, when he does something to me, I think, all right, I know I deserve worse, and he's, Tatinu Kampan. He's minimized my reactions, but he's trying to teach me something, because this is school here. We're supposed to learn. Hopefully, if you learn, you won't come back. That's the beauty of this philosophy. If you learn this philosophy and you follow it, then, pretty much you're on your way back to Godhead. You're done. You're, like Vaish says, you opted out of the material world. And so that's my hope and my prayer, and we do it every day. And most days I get away with it. Most days I do pretty well. Prabhupada's very kind. I get mercy. I find if I choose my association and if I read a lot, of course Vaish calls me 4 or 5 times a week. That helps. But I take shelter in that. And I want to leave you with this verse, one of my favorite verses from Sanatana Shiksha. Veda Shastre Kahe Sambandha Abhideya Prayojan Krishna Krishna Bhakti Prema Tina Mahadan. In the Vedic literatures, Krishna is the central point of attraction. His service is our activity. To attain the platform of love of Krishna is life's ultimate goal. Therefore, Krishna, Krishna's service, and love of Krishna are the 3 treasures of life. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. All right. Akurunath, you don't have anything? I figured you'd have something. I had something before. Okay. Think of something hard. I won't be able to answer it anyway. Jai, Max.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for class. You were talking about reading a lot, and so you know what to say when people ask questions. When I read, I find it like I'm reading the same things, over and over, but I find it doesn't exactly stick. Do you have any advice?
Well, Prabhupada said, read it once, twice, thrice. When he gave us the Nectar of Devotion, have you ever read the Nectar of Devotion? I read it and I go, what? I mean, there's so many abstract, amazing, far-out things in there about Krishna. And the devotees were asking a question, and Prabhupada said, there's a tape, you can hear this. Prabhupada said, don't come to me, Prabhupada, what's this? Prabhupada, what's this? Just read it once, twice, thrice. Keep reading it and you'll get the mercy. Because our hearts are dirty. And Nityam Bhagavata Seva, you're supposed to do it over and over and over. You're supposed to do it all the time, but at least daily. And if you want to be successful, the more you read, the more you hear. If you can't even read, just turn on something and hear. And it will help. Eventually, I mean, some of us takes longer than others, and I'm an example of that. I've been trying to clean my heart for over 50 years, and it's still filthy. But I'm not giving up.
Thank you.
Akruranath Prabhu.
When you were talking about the special power of chanting the names of Gaur Nityananda, when I first joined the movement, we were told, like, before you chant around, chant the Panchatattva Mahamantra. And we always did that, and everybody did it. In Japa period, you'd hear people, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. You knew they finished a round and they were starting another one. And then some time ago, like 10 or 15 years ago, somebody started saying, we don't have to do that, that's, whatever. And now I notice a lot of people don't do it. I don't do it all the time. And what's your thought about that?
Well, I'm old-fashioned, and I got enough problems without offending the holy name during my japa every single day of my life. So every time I always chant the Panchatattva. And an elder devotee, and I'm not going to say his name, told me one time, he said, Prabhupada didn't do that. And I said, didn't do what? And he said he didn't chant the Panchatattva mantra before every round. And I said, well, is it okay if I do? Because I'm not Prabhupada. And whatever. Prabhupada told us, I can read it to you if you don't believe it. Prabhupada told us if you don't chant the Panchatattva, you have no qualification to worship Radha Krishna or even chant the holy name. And Prabhupada has that famous letter he wrote. He said, because somebody asked him, when I'm chanting, what do I do? What do I think? Prabhupada said, you think, my dear Krishna, please always remind me to chant your holy names. Please do not put me into forgetfulness. Please always remind me to chant your holy name. Even if you send me to hell, it's okay, as long as I can chant Hare Krishna. Now, that's what I say every morning before I chant my rounds. And Bhakti Vinod says, feeling myself lower than a blade of grass and welcoming the quality of forbearance. I don't even know what that means, forbearance, but I believe in it, and I know it's something that I want. Welcoming the quality of forbearance into my heart and giving honor to all living beings, when will I taste the nectar of the holy name? So it's, I'm not going to say don't chant Hare Krishna, but if you do chant Hare Krishna, you should at least say Nitai Gaur before you do it. I'm doing it. I need all the help I can get. Anything else? Hema? Vati Prabhu? Book distributor?
In my life, I came to a situation where even with the best of my intention of giving Krishna to others, I hurt people very badly. I will give you an example. My father, who's old, and my mother have left, so I used to go see him frequently, and he would always ask questions about Krishna consciousness. So I would answer according to the scriptures and to my best ability. And one day, he just said to me, I don't want to see you anymore. And it broke my heart like anything. And I thought I was just doing the right thing, and he turned me away. And it was horrible. And I thought, how come, I'm trying to give Krishna to others and I'm hurting them.
I had that experience with my family when I first joined, and I was young and fanatical and nuts. And I'd go home and whatever they were doing, I'd go, that's nonsense, that's nonsense. My brothers are coming and go, hey, check this out, I got a new guitar. I go, this is nonsense. And they were like, geez, what's the matter with you? But I say give them prasadam. Don't try to explain this to people that don't like it. It's an offense, actually, to preach to the faithless. So you just give them some prasadam. We go, hi, Daddy, here, have some apple pie.
Yeah.
You couldn't get mad at that. And
Yeah.
where is he now? Is he in oblivion? Of course.
Yeah. Well, I understand his reaction because he was brought up in a very Catholic environment, and he would see things that he thought didn't make sense, like his father was cultivating the fields, and they say that on Sunday you should not work, and sometimes he would lose his whole production because he didn't do the right thing on Sunday. So he was afraid that if I take to religiosity, I would become, like non intelligent or something like that. So he was trying to avoid me to go towards spiritual life. Anyway, it turned out finally that on his 95th birthday, they made a big, reunion, family reunion, and I went anyway. And when he saw me, he said, "I was wishing you would come." So somehow, I think in his inner self, he really regretted what he said, and he really loved me anyway.
Hey, you tried to help him. That was your motive. I mean, Krishna is, Bhava Grahi Janardhan. He takes the motive. I go out, sometimes I offend people just because I'm there. I don't go up and say things to them. Go, "Hey, you don't eat that meat, you idiot." I don't do that. I just go, "Well, here's a life. Here's a book on yoga." I'm like nice to them. And some people just go, "You shouldn't be out here doing this." She liked the Beatles, bought the book. She was 80. Half hour later, she came back with the book and she goes, "I'm saved by Lord Jesus Christ." And I said, "Me too. I was raised Catholic. I'm Irish. Hey, I came up Catholic." And the only reason, we had to go to church because our grandmother would literally beat us if we didn't. I hated her and I didn't like going to church. And then you get in church and it's dark and there's Jesus up there suffering. I didn't want to see that. It was horrible. And you say one word, the nuns are hitting you with stuff. It was hellish. It was really hellish. So I don't take, when a religion person, there's so many religions. I mean, when I tell the Baptists that I'm a Catholic, they go, "Well, we'll pray for you." And I go, "Look, do you have a different Jesus? It's the same Jesus." And they go, "Yeah, but we're not into Mother Mary." And I go, "What's the matter with you? How could you not be into the mother of your Jesus?" These people are lost. You understand? These are lost children. They have no chance. Maybe they go for 10 minutes or an hour on Sunday and sit there and hate it like I did. Whatever it is, they're lost. And if you think that those people that are going on Sunday are going to get liberated or to go back to God, I'm sorry, you're wrong. They're going to oblivion. I mean, we just read it. And then they're like, "Wait a minute, I was a Catholic. I went to church once a week." Ridiculous. Sorry, I'm sorry. It's just one of my pet peeves. I've been talking to Christians for 50 years on Sankirtan, and they're the least receptive humans that you could ever meet. Everybody else, Jews, Muslims, everybody will take a book. But born-again Christians hate it. It's not enough that they don't like it, but they don't want anybody else to like it either. I mean, I've had them chase me around the airport. He's not a Christian. I'm like, "Yes, I am. I'm a Catholic. Praise the Lord."
I have a nice Sankirtan story about that. One time, well, it was on Nityananda's birthday, so I would go to people and say, "Can you say happy birthday, Nityananda?" And they would say it, and then I would say the glories of Nityananda, that is the incarnation of mercy. And one time I felt on this tongue Christian, and I said, "Can you say, happy birthday, Nitai?" And she said, "I'm a Christian." and she went back to her car and saying, "Who's that Nitai? Nitai, who's that Nitai?"
Aye, success. Nityananda is so merciful. The Lord Chaitanya is the most merciful incarnation, and Nitai is even more merciful. I always do that when I'm walking through parking lots. I pick up my phone and go, "Nitai, hey Nitai," and people are like, "Yova."
Yeah, I want to just say something really quick. It reminds me of my husband's parents. They've been inimical all their life towards Krishna consciousness, and then a few years before he passed away, he came to my husband and he whispered in his ear and he said, "Hare Krishna, and don't tell your mother I say it."
Yeah, that's good. A guy did that to me the other day in a parking lot. He was looking at the book, and then he goes, "How much is it?" I said, "It's just a donation." And his wife, and he starts to give, and she goes, "Mm." And these are old people. I mean, these people are in their 80s. And she pulls out her wallet and gives me $1. And I said, "Thank you very much." And she went toward the car. And the old guy goes, "Come here." And he hands me a 50. And he goes, "Shh." And I was like, that's my kind of guy. You meet those guys. Doesn't happen very often, but it sure was nice. Somebody appreciated it. That it? Thank you very much, Prabhus. Glories Prabhupada. Sarva Vaishnava Pai Kori Namaskar. Ite Aparada Kichuna. Hukam Arum Tat Sat.